YouTube, good morning, good morning. Forgive me, I have a bit of a chest cold apparently, thanks to the old kiddos. Oh man. VIX is 1925, still the same stuff, above 18, below 20 that we've been in for about a month and a half. The longest time the VIX has been above 18 and held since 2022. CVD is down into the 1500 on NASDAQ. ES is down to 1800, and their main liquidity levels here are up into the 5890 area with another very light book. So let's see. Let's see, 6470 is low. Wait for the high volume enter low signal. Yep. So that's what I would do. You know, when I'm watching oil, is that you have to figure out what's going on right here. The understanding of what's happening with the price action at the moment is that we finally took out the pivot. And we gapped down overnight. A lot of geopolitical issues there. We held the 68.21, and then we had an aggressive bottom wick last night on oil. You notice it tried to go back, at least taking out the high of the candle, the opening candle. But then, of course, the seller stepped in and rolled it back over. So now that we've taken out 68.19, which is the prior pivot, the only thing I care about is the 65.75 level. That is the next imbalance. And there's a reason why. If you go to the oil chart, you see that the oil put on the highest amount of volume that it's put on in 2 years. Literally the largest amount of volume since March of 2022 on oil. That's a significant event with a significant candle on October 1st. So that 65.75 low is going to be a very major imbalance and the most likely target for this move. And the great area for buyers to be able to clean up a lot of that order book. So now that we've taken out, assuming we don't recover today and hold down, I'll be looking for a target of 65.75 on oil. And then if we take that out, it's very possible we could reach down into the lower 63s. So once again, this kind of tiptoes into the fact that the entire market, oil included, is doing something different than what everyone anticipated going into 2024, especially into election year. We are expected a possibility of oil going back to 100, the bonds to be 130, yields tanking, the interest rates going way down, and then of course none of that is occurring, not a single thing. So it'll be an interesting year and a half or so. What's up, Dan? Good morning. What charts do I use for oil? I just use CL, oil futures. XLF is climbing back up to 47, correct, after an onslaught on Friday. So a little bit of that buy up from what happened on Friday. XLF put on one of the biggest sell-offs in years. Biggest single day sell-offs on XLF in years. And today's just we've already bounced back for half of it this morning. Today we have a very weak catalyst schedule. Not really much, if anything, on the schedule. Monday, October 28th. Where's it? I'm on the wrong one. There we go. We have two-year bond auction 11:30 and the 5-year at 1 o'clock, and that is it. Which is not terrible, but that's it. Of course, this entire week is all mega cap earnings. Every big dog is going to report this week except for Nvidia. They've got about 3 weeks. And then, of course, we have non-farm payroll on Friday. I think Wednesday is the precursor. Wednesday is ADP non-farm employment change, which is not non-farm payroll, but that's the precursor to NFP on Friday. So take a look at Wednesday's 8:15 non-farm data posting to kind of get a gist of what's going to happen on non-farm. So, and that'll be the peaking of volatility, and arguably everything is ascending in volatility. So we have mega caps, which is the lower volatility, non-farm on Friday, which is expected to be a little bit higher volatility, the election, which is supposed to be a little bit more higher volatility, and then of course FOMC, which is the Super Bowl of volatility after all of that. That's what the options market is pricing in, at least. You're welcome, Steve. China is posting some staggering low numbers for oil usage so far this year. The U.S. is starting to decline too. I think CL will get pretty weak next year by the year after. Yeah, wait till the tariffs start hitting too. When once Trump's in office and he starts slinging those tariffs, um, the whole point is to bring China to its knees, and that's what they're doing with those tariffs. So um, if that does occur, their oil usage is going to go even further down. But all the signs are pointing to the signs of the impending recession right there, and the declining oil demand is one of those. This Christmas year will be a very, very telltale sign to what's actually occurring. It's obviously the consumer Super Bowl of Christmas. That's what Christmas has turned into is consumerism. So if no one's lining up to buy or is logging on the internet to buy, then we'll have a pretty indication of what's actually occurring with the economy, which I'm curious to see. 58.77 here, ES. Very, very light liquidity on the books. We have VIX 18.99, right about 19. So all about the same stuff. NVIDIA large red candles in about 5 or 6 minutes here. I'll get into spot gamma here and see what's going on there. Let's see, spot. There it is. Waiting to see a weakening consumer. Oh yeah. All right. So Nasdaq has already taken out not the low, not the overnight low, because that's way on down into about 24.75, but it's taken out the range low that we've been in since we opened. And what happened is that Nasdaq gapped up at the open at the 1700, 1800 Eastern open, and then pretty much chopped in a range. I would say chop. It ranged. I wouldn't say chop. It definitely ranged overnight at about 100 point range. We've since taken out that range, with the next likely target will be the gap open at 525. After that, it'll be the imbalance at 478 if that continues down. Right now, everything in the mega caps is green and brightly green. Tesla's red after giving out, they rampaged last week, and now they're just, they're slightly down 0.5%. But everything is brightly green, healthily green. So unless that starts giving out here, we start to see some put buying. I'm sure we're going to have some profit taking there, a little bit of closing out the calls and whatnot. But right now, it's the buyers are very much in control outside of the first half hour, a little profit taking. So we'll see if that shifts quickly. 1 day implied move to the downside is 58.10. Upside move is way up high at 58.80 of the increased volatility. And we're going to see a higher and higher IV going into next week, with next week being cray-cray. Right now we have, put buying, call selling, which that's what we expected with such a green open like this. Closing out of calls, buying some puts to roll this baby down. So again, that's very quick data on the zeros. So that's why I like to wait until the first 5 to 10 minutes. So I'll tell you what, when we rented this house, the management company warned me that the lady who owns the home is a little bit crazy. And she is about inspections and the quality of the house, and she did not lie. I feel like we have an inspection on this home every other week. It's crazy. Like now the HVAC guys do yet another inspection. They've inspected every square inch of this house every month since we moved in. This must be costing her a fortune on inspections. She can't be making any money, that's for sure. That's what the doorbell, I don't know if you heard the doorbell, but that's what that was. Can't wait to get out of here. It's got to be. Her overhead has got to be negative. There's no way she's making money on this property. But everything's in good shape. I'll give her that. Everything's in tip-top shape. There could be worse things. I could have a landlord that doesn't care. Am I still trading options? Not currently, but I trade options when the market calls for it. I've barely traded an option in the past month, simply because the market's been very rangy, and I tend not to do very well with a rangy market, choppy market when it's up with options. So I've been sticking to futures, and then next week I anticipate trading a lot more options. RTY is flying right here, so a little bit of rotation into the smaller names, profit taking after the tech onslaught last week. Now we have, of course, NVIDIA down, Microsoft is down, Apple's coming down with RTY and the Dow flying, so it's just rotation. Small caps are up, tech is starting to slide back over a little bit. ES is coming down, NASDAQ went up from overnight high of 677 and now down 110 points off highs. Oh, man. How many trades do you take a day normally? Are they all alerted on Discord? I usually take 1 to 2 scalps a day at the most. I talk about my trades, my scalp trades, just like we do on stream here. I don't ping them, though, because by the time you ping a scalp, usually you've already either gotten out or you've already set up the trade to get out. It's too late for the average trader. I do alert all my swing trades, though. And once I start getting my hands and back inside my long-term trades, my long-term port, I'll be talking about that. I'll ping those as well, into my long-term management. Any thoughts on what SpotGap was talking about with cheap NVIDIA January calls? Yeah. So that's what they talked about last week and the week before, is the fact that it's a difficult narrative to spin about the market dropping until January because NVIDIA is so bullishly postured. We all know NVIDIA runs the market here, and they know that once the 140 calls rolled off, is that they're still pulling calls up even into January. So they're saying like it's going to be difficult for the S&P and the NASDAQ to drop with any sort of large portion with the NVIDIA having such aggressive bullish pull. By the way, NVIDIA just turned red from 143 down to 141. NASDAQ just broke new lows, and ES is trickling lower. The bearishness right now is definitely stronger on NASDAQ, but they're putting on a bunch of 5-minute bottom wicks, 15-minute bottom wick here too. And my trigger to start longing back up will be a 15-minute hold over approximately the 580 block. So from 580 to 590, that 10-point block, if we can hold over that, I'll start looking along back up for a recovery. But only that. If we continue to reject 580 and hold lower, that's when I'm going to play down for a gap fill. That's my thesis right now for NASDAQ. For oil, I'm going to pay close attention to that because they are basing. The big imbalance down to 65 is not that far away. And if they decide to go for a run for it, that's what I'll long the crap out of that level the first time. Is Jimmy Bob still involved? I used to be a member 10 to 15 years ago. I think you might be on the wrong channel. I've only been around for 3 years. Hopefully I'll be around for 15 years and y'all still will be. Do I prefer options or futures? I prefer both of them. I don't like one over the other. I think just like, a carpenter has different tools for different jobs, I think options and futures are both very keen tools for what you want to trade. There's certainly no comparison for the returns you can get on a properly executed option. So I think there are times to sling futures and there's times to sling options. It depends on the volatility. I usually trade options on a volatile market because I'm a good volatility trader. So I'll do that. And then if I want the accuracy of an entry, then I'll use futures. Or if I don't trust the market too much, I'll stick to futures. If I really don't trust the market, I'll go all the way down to stocks, which I haven't really traded stocks on a short-term scale since 2020. But I did a lot of stock trading in 2020. And that's when I usually put on a little bit more risk. I use a lot of leverage. I use a lot of account size. Sometimes I'll even go up to 25% of my account when I'm doing a stock trade. But when I'm doing options, it's heavily skewed to the downside. Like I'll only 1% at the most for short-term trades, and if I'm doing long-term stuff, I might tune it up a little bit. But if anyone wants to learn how to trade options in a non-trading environment, I highly recommend Don Sheridan of Mission Management. I just finished a Mission Management. His best trade I ever had. Nice. Mojo. Very cool. I'd assume it's a lot of options selling, if I had to guess. I don't use it anymore, but I wrote a script for Ninja Trader. Ninja. That counted for the number of trades I made each day. When I got to 5 trades, I would write a file to a folder that was being monitored by my ass, and there was a change to the folder. It would shut down my Ninja Trader and not let it open. That's some high-level stuff right there. A good mix. He likes to trade Vega as well as data. Nice. Nice. It's kind of like it's like your own lockout button. All right. What do we have here? So far, not any additional movement. We've been range bound since the market opened. ES has not moved an inch since the market opened at 1600 last night, or 1800 last night. Dale was a market maker for 25 years, been teaching retails for the last 20. Very cool. I was overtrading gambling. I needed to break the dopamine cycle. That's a great man. That's 2 gold nuggets you've dropped. I love it, man. I'm gonna have to cite you in my podcast twice. Good stuff. I got bags of them, homie. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. All right, hero indicator. Put buying, call selling still at the moment. Hedge wall down and do 58.20. And that's about it. That's about it. NASDAQ is still trying to hold over the 580, but I'm hands off until we can close 580 on the 15-minute scale. We just hit the first 15-minute candle, and we are back and forth. Just top wick back over. Taking out 556 could lead down into the gap. Can it be? Because no one tell me what subscription I need to get the real-time data. I'll have to look it up to see exactly what it's called, but it's like CME real-time market data, something like that. I'll have to see what it is. Oh, there you go. Top wick over 558. Again, anything under the prior candle in the 15-minute will flush. There you go, just like that, and lead us down into temptation and deliver us from evil, which is at 525. Anybody do anything fun this weekend? Have a great time? Yeah, RTY is still blasting. XLF is starting coming back up. Microsoft is down. Tech is definitely feeling some pressure here after a obviously very green. Amazon is still flat. They're hanging out just fine. Meta's getting crushed. Google's getting crushed. Everything is getting crushed except for Amazon. Amazon is still trickling higher, which I guess Amazon today is the PPT. So keep an eye on Amazon. Everything else is still down. ES is flat. They're not moving at all. NASDAQ is definitely downtrending. NVIDIA does look bearish. We do have put buying, call selling here. There we go. Break lower under the 556. And now we're going to go for the 525 first and then the imbalance fill. Beautiful. All the way down. 525. Nice lib. Well done, buddy. Decent morning. We got we got a bunch of the kids together and did a Halloween event put on by our community. The kids got jacked on sugar and played all sorts of games in around the place. I did the exact same thing. The exact same thing. It was actually an eye-opening experience. An eye-opening experience. It was a blast. Yeah. Gunning for 525, and also at the 525 imbalance is that we have liquidity on Bookmap, and that is no surprise that that actually makes sense why it's there. So 525 will be my first target here. Now that we've broken over the prior candle of 556, and then if 525 gives out, we have nowhere else to go except the imbalance from the market open. There always has to be a reason why. Levels aren't enough. You've got to be able to read price action to understand what's happening at liquidity zones. We take out 556, and then we come down to 525. There we go. 534 still dropping. Rolling back over. Dumping. And there's 530. Let me hit my 30-point target. Do I still use squeeze Momo indicator? I don't. I only use squeeze Momo indicator when there's a non-volatile market. Anything reactive like that you can't use in a volatile market because it's too lagging. You'll get false narratives on it. I drove around beautiful northern Colorado. I worked all I saw was Greenlee and Fort Collins and listened to the radio. Nice. Fort Collins. That's right outside of that's between Denver and Colorado Springs, isn't it? Golf tournament on Saturday, took 3rd place. Very cool. You scratch golfer? Very cool. How was the Trump Joe Rogan podcast? Depends who you ask. I'll say this: it changed nobody's mind. If you're a Trump supporter, you thought it was the greatest thing ever. If you're a Trump hater, you thought it was the dumbest thing ever. So, I enjoyed it. I thought it humanized him a little bit. It made him to a man and not a monster. But 525 first target. Dropping back over. It was a scramble. Nice. I don't play scrambles anymore, but you're a single-digit handicap. Very cool. That's a hard task to achieve. Well done. Fort Collins is 45 minutes north of Denver. Really, I thought it was south. What fort is? I thought there was one just south of Denver. Maybe it was north of Denver. It's been a while since I was up there. It's been about 7-8 years since I was in that area. All right, still looking for 525. Once I hit 526, I roll my stops down 30 points. 30-point grace. We talked about this on Friday. That's when you start rolling down to profit. Yeah, so we had that Halloween thing this weekend, and it was all the kids got on the trailers and did their hay rides, and then all the parents kind of sat around the fire and just talking. And we're deep in the sticks. And everybody there was either from New Jersey or Boston. They're all transplants, every one of them. And I've always wondered what really is driving people to move out of the north and into the deep south, especially when supposedly some people are so critical of it. But obviously it's an incredible place. It's a very amazing place, best place in the country. But they're telling me stories of why they left. Each individual of them are just kind of having talks, and of course they're all red voting. But just taxes, man. I honestly don't understand how people live in the north simply because of cost. Taxes are absolutely outrageous. You can't own a weapon. Now they're not even issuing permits for natural gas. You can't get natural gas in your homes. It's atrocious. And then they had to pay $4,500 tax just to leave. It's an exit fee to leave the state. It's like horror stories, man. It's like North Korea. Yeah, they're from New Jersey. One guy was from Jersey. He said he had to leave. He had no choice but to leave because he was getting destroyed. It's absolutely insane. But that's what's going to happen here eventually. All the people are going to move down here, and they're going to take their politics here, and then that's what's going to happen here eventually. It's only a matter of time. I'm from Boston. How now? That's why I moved to Indonesia. Did you really? Do I think SPY will go for the gap if it breaks 581? Let me go take a look at SPY. I'm only watching ES and Nasdaq at the moment. If SPY can get under the 581.03, yeah, you said 581. It's very possible. It's very possible. We have some targets, 580, 547, stuff like that, to get to first, but that would be the overarching target. Yes, down into that gap fill. The big dog is the gap fill. 581.30. Still looking for 525 Nasdaq. Yeah, great stuff, Angelo. Beautiful. So Nasdaq is still holding lower. There's no bouncing on Nasdaq whatsoever. I don't have any bottom wicks and I don't have any high volume. Granted, I'm setting on the 15-minute, not anything else. So everything still looks likely here to at least attack 525 so far. Delta neutral iron condors and honor butterflies are in, hoping for a big move. Nice. Very cool, Mojo. Could be worse. You're in Canada like me. Yeah. But at least you have poutine, you know, and gigantic moose. I want to hunt a moose. It's like East-West Berlin without the physical wall. Tell me about it, man. I was jaw-dropped at the stuff they were telling me. Absolutely jaw-dropped. It's sad that we live in a country that is voluntarily giving up their freedoms left and right. What's my usual risk ratio? It depends. All my prop for right now, looking at the new analytics and whatnot, I'm usually between 1.5 to 2. Somewhere in that area. Sometimes higher, sometimes lower. It really depends on the day, the conditions, and how I'm trading. On my IBKR, it's usually a little bit higher simply because I'm a longer term trader on the IBKR. I'm usually holding for a little bit longer. But honestly, I don't pay too close attention to R&R. I'm a little bit different than a lot of traders. I don't use target profits. I don't really care about R&R that much because I think it's more of I think R&R is incidental of a proper system. If I focus on R&R, then I think I'm going to make terrible decisions or try to hold too long and try to get a higher R&R. But if I just take high quality setups, the R&R will come. You know, the risk ratio will do it. Will take care of itself. So. I had a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house built in 1961. I'm paying $17,000 a year. I have 50 acres. You know what I paid last year on property taxes? $1,700. Y'all are nuts. They just took out down here to 525. Yeah, it is ag land. I had a position to an ag land, but still, it's crazy. My intraday trades got hit Friday on midday reversal. I trade systematic. Nice. Still dropping. But can you get to New York City within 3 hours of bumper-to-bumper traffic? Negative. Negative. Undeveloped land at $100 a year per each acre. New Jersey's the worst property tax in the United States. Yep. The two things that blew me away the most is the exit fee, and then the fact that you cannot transport a sidearm in your vehicle even if you're going to a range. I was like, well, that's dumb. That's what he said, at least. I don't know if that's true. We have property in Minnesota and North Dakota. We pay about $5,000 in Minnesota for a square mile of land. And we have much more land in North Dakota and each pay $2,400 a month. That's not terrible. That's not terrible. All right, so there's that 15-minute bottom wick right at the top of the hour. So there's the algo shift. Did you see the difference in algorithms on the 5 and the 15? Like immediately went green back up here. All the way up. Not a month. Yeah, I got you. A year. I figured it was a month. Oh, man. Midwest is terrible. Please stay home. Love it. Love it. Euro closes 1 hour later this week. Oh, the time change. Oh, man, this is the worst time of the year for me. We have 1 month of time change until we change. I'll get it wrong every single day. Don't worry. Don't worry. All right, so now we're climbing back up. So the same theory applies. If we close over, let me get the exact price. If we close over 582, that's when you're back into the upside territory. But as long as we continue to reject 582, there's no bull thesis here. Not yet. Top wick back over. Oh, man. I'm not a fan of our winners. We are in the 80s yet today, and tomorrow the bottom will fall out. I'm only here because of family and land. Nice. Why 582 specifically? 582 was the pivot point. If you go look at the... Here, I'll show you. I apologize, man. I'm trying not to make too many dad noises. But my chest feels like there's an elephant sitting on it. All right, so there's that pivot right there. 582, the bottom wick from this morning, and then that little rejection candle there in the 215. Those are 15-minute candles, mind you, rolling back over. So to recapture the imbalance, because you have to remember that little doji red candle prior, that's a support. That's a SR flip. We broke the prior support, which is 582, and now we used it as resistance. Top wick that came back over. So we obviously have liquidity in that area. So in order for the buyers to come back up, we need to be able to reclaim that liquidity and hold it. Not just breach it, but they need to breach it and then close over it to show that we have now liquidated all the orders that are sitting there. And then we're free for the buyers to start coming back up. Of course, VPA bottom wick with volume will help, but we have to give her 582, and that'll get us up. So if you are already long, this is where I would keep my stop losses wide, and then once we claim 582 and hold it, that's when I would start bringing my stop losses up. Because you do not want to reclaim 582, hold it, and then fail back down. That is a bad setup. So once you reclaim 582, you bring your stop losses up and now into profit territory, which I am not in a long. And then if it fails, you make some money. If it continues to go, you make even more money. But I would not give that up once it fails. If you're short, I would definitely be getting out if you claim 582. If they claim and hold 582, I would definitely get out of a short on the 15-minute scale. We have owned property since before this. That's awesome. Super awesome. I bet there's some awesome stuff buried out there. I'm starting to see this. The price actually predicted 6 months ago. Small range, smaller volume. Yeah, buddy. That algo flip on Tesla was quick after the half hour. Yeah, that. So the algo shifts happen on the 5-minute scale, but they happen more aggressively when the 5, 15, and 30s line up. In the 60-minute, obviously, but the 60-minute will always line up with the 30. So, and that happens at the top of the hour at 9 o'clock, which was 10 o'clock Eastern time. The 5, 15, and 30s all lined up, and it's more aggressive. So the 10 o'clock is all the top of the hours usually get some sort of volatility shift, even if it's only just a slight shift. But the 10 o'clock is usually one of the more aggressive ones, and then after that, the 2 p.m. one is pretty aggressive, 2 and 3 p.m. Here is negative 2.4 bill. Why is SPX falling? Let's go take a look. This has been doing that the past few days. We've been seeing some extreme zero DTE movement on the Hero the past couple of days, with not necessarily a commensurate move on the SPX. So I'm seeing the same thing. Very, very negative put buying. I think eventually it will fall. It will succumb to the fall and drop. But we got to get through there. Right now, it's being supported by the fact that 9 of the 10 X's are green and they're not selling off, and RTY is still going up here too. I need some honey, some warm honey, and a lozenge. Thoughts on the semiconductor sector with respect to AI? I don't know, man. That's beyond my pay grade. I love that stuff for long-term ports. I don't know what to think of it on a short-term scale. I don't know. Semiconductors have been, obviously crazy. SMCI has gotten absolutely beat down like a whip dog. But yeah, we'll see how it works. AI is like we talked about this, a couple weeks ago. I'm a passive AI user. Like I'm not heavily influenced by tech. I'm not someone who uses a lot of tech. So in my opinion, the real effect of AI is not someone who's heavily based in tech, is that when AI starts to affect people who don't use tech, the average American who just doesn't really care or use a lot of technology, when it starts affecting their life, that's when you know AI is going to be prominent or a new thing, kind of like the internet. In the early 90s, everybody said the internet was a fad. No one was ever going to have a home computer. And of course, now everybody and their grandma literally uses AI, uses internet. So is the AI the next quote unquote internet? Who knows? But I'm starting to see it every day in my life. You go Google search anything, there's no longer any real images. It's all AI generated. If you put in a Google search for words, now instead of getting Google responses, the very top thing is an AI generated response. Here's your answer. AI generates, and ChatGPT shoots out an answer. So when that starts to happen on a larger scale and a more prominent scale, then yeah. But I think it could be a bad thing, man. I think creative minds, I think creativity in the mind of a human is very important. And you start taking that out and you start putting it in the hands of a computer, there's no more critical thinking. And we already have a terrible problem with critical thinking in this country. I mean, go look at the polls. So what happens when you start taking that little skill and task of actually critically thinking and developing something creative instead of putting it in the hands of a computer? I think it could be a bad thing. But then again, I could just be an old guy with a broom yelling at a cloud. AI has destroyed my predictive texting. It's far wrong than it's right. Yeah. When Mrs. OM asks me what I want for dinner, I'm definitely not saying I want some ducking Chinese food. Critical thinking is a lost art these days. 100% it is. All right, so NASDAQ has reclaimed 582. 15-minute close over 582. Have I had Peking duck? I actually haven't. I'd like to try it. I love duck. Apple was criticized a couple months ago for their ads, which basically showed musical instruments getting crushed and using digital software to create music. Yeah, it's terrible. See, I grew up playing the trumpet and the guitar. Now I play guitar all the time. The kids, it's a great little hobby, and the kids are going to grow up. A lot of kids not knowing how to do that stuff. Excuse me. All right, so now we have 582 closed, or not closed yet. It's above it. We have 5 minutes until the 15-minute can clear 582. Once we do that, we'll know that the buyers have attacked and held. And that's when we can start going for higher prices. All the semiconductor sector stocks are completely vertical in response to the energy needs of servers, data firms. Yep. What is SMCI? You see, SMCI is strong today, yeah, but they got beat down big time, and they're still in an ascending wedge. So SMCI has a very aggressive trend line to attack, and it's also, that trend line is at the equivalent price of an imbalance too. So SMCI's got some work cut out for them the next few weeks if they want to climb. I do not like names that have been beat down like this, especially with the selling volume I'm experiencing on SMCI. I still think they're going to attack 30.7 before they go anywhere, based on the price action. I used AI to help me create Gex and Delta scripts in Python. I'm not a coder, so it's cool. Nice. Oh, small modular reactor. I was saying semiconductors. My apologies. You're talking about energy. I have to read the whole chat. I apologize. I was saying you said AI and I was thinking semiconductor. My apologies. Yeah, so that's obviously a key concern is energy. is energy. Is that crap uses a lot of power. Still top wicking, cannot hold the 582 on the 15-minute scale. You see why they're rejecting it. The support resistance flip. Now they're retesting the support resistance flip, and now they're rejecting 582 again. So as long as they hold under 582, we're hanging out right here on the 15-minute. If they reject 582, it's short mode down to 525. If they hold it, 650 and higher. I think a lot of big tech firms are next. They're investing in building their own nuclear power plants. That would be crazy. Their own nuclear power plants. I cannot wait for this election to be over. At this point, I don't even care. Just get it over with. What do we have? What do we have? What do we have? How do I get one? That's probably in the future. You know, I'd probably say by like 2300, everybody will have like their own little powered nuclear power plant, mini power plant in their houses. Like a mini little cooling tower. Use it as a chimney. Figured out how to make nearly unlimited power from rocks, and people are so against it. A little fusion reactor. A flux capacitor? Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. What do I think about crypto? I don't really have an opinion on crypto. I'm not knowledgeable on enough to make really an opinion on it. I'm one of those dudes, like, everyone says you're entitled to your own opinion. I don't think that's true. I think if you're completely ignorant to a subject, you're not entitled to your opinion. Just keep your mouth shut. So I know nothing about crypto, so I'd keep my mouth shut, typically. MSTR might be the new SMCI. Maybe. I just tuned in, but someone was trying to push a uranium play a couple weeks ago on Reddit. He was very bullish, but not sure if this is related. I don't know. Has to live in a lead box. Yeah. Flux capacitor maybe spit up my monitor. Apologize. 1.21 gigawatts. All right, so we're still holding up right here at 580. 582, 580, 15-minute closes in 20 seconds. Watch the algo shift. Don't take a trade right before the shift. Let's see if we can get through here. There's life without political ads. It's been so long. Yeah. I hate political years. It's terrible. Everyone turns into mashed potato brains. All right, there it is. Closure. We technically got above 582, so we have wiped that that order flow there technically. So let's see how they respond. Today's 2 years since Elon purchased Twitter. Interesting. Still holding 580. Very boring. Very boring. I mean, look what happened. Look what Elon posted, man. 100,000 GPUs just in that one server building, and just for one company. Think about the entire world and the energy demands it's going to need. Like, we're not going to be able to rely on our typical power grid, so we're going to have to come up with something. And right now, the most obvious answer probably is nuclear, just strictly from an energy consumption. I mean, even the codes in my neck of the woods, which is Podunk South, who were just now in the past 3 years just now starting to get a lot of electric vehicles on the road. Now they're already changing the code where you have to wire in a 220 plug in your garage for electric vehicles. All right. Well, what about places that are more accepting or quicker accepting of electric vehicles who have already a tapped power grid? Like, we're going to have to come up with something. And then on top of that, you throw in AI, crypto mining, all this other stuff that demands incredibly high energy consumption. Not to mention just the organic nature of population growth. I mean, what else is there? Is another option besides nuclear? So it's not a bad idea. Hydrogen, which I think a fantastic way to conduct travel right now. They should do hydrogen-filled blimps. Fantastic. You know how many people you could bring across the continent in hydrogen-filled blimps? It's fantastic. There's nothing that can go wrong. I wish there's a way to burn my Canadian passport and cross the U.S. border with through Mexico before Trump shuts it down. Canada has literally gone to poop. Well, from what I heard this weekend, man, it's not just Canada. So. LA did a lot of energy audits. Production facilities have shut down midday in the summers to not overload the grid. I heard that. Yeah, terrible. I think the only thing I would see a problem with that is, like, if there is a meltdown, it's like, all right, well, you could delete that state for the next 3,000 years. Despawn, as my kids say it. What's the flow look like on NVIDIA? Let me go take a look. Still holding 582, bottom wicking off of it on the 5 and 15 on NASDAQ. Simpsons predict everything. No movement whatsoever here. Current GEX is 5,800, which is 20 or 35 points lower. One sec, let me get you. NVIDIA. NVIDIA. Very boring price action this morning. VIX is popping. Yep. I discovered an artist this weekend that sings songs in what's called Spanglish. He does the first verse in English and the second verse in Spanish. It's actually pretty good. Fantastic voice, too. Spaghetti. Ooh, yeah, that sounds good. If I can get this thing to load, I can get some NVIDIA options flow here. Just bear with me. Wow, this is slow. Come on. NVIDIA right now is showing some put buying. Or more call selling than anything. But they are buying puts and selling calls. Yep. You're welcome. 58.73 on ES. NASDAQ is 591 and holding, which may get us a little bit up here. Have I been flying recently? I haven't. I'm actually in the process of retiring, of getting out. So no. I'm getting out the military, turning the page, new chapter. Got a couple of business ideas in the works of what I'm going to do next. But I'm not sure yet. I haven't decided what I'm going to do. When active, can you literally just fly whenever you want? Not really. It depends on the frame, I guess, but no, there's a schedule. It all comes down to budgetary concerns, needs, training requirements when you get your hours in. So you should open a Discord and teach trading. Sounds like a good idea. After the election, will IV crush happen on DJT? It depends if he's elected or not. Him being elected may not be a bullish thing for that stock. Have I discovered the music of Circle of Sanity? I have not. Why would you ask, Circle of Sanity? Or can slow down a little. Well, I want to shift gears. I don't want to slow down. I just want to shift gears because, you know, there's a good quote I heard a long time ago, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember the exact quote, but it's when you use your mind, when the source of your stress is using your mind, then your de-stressor needs to be working with your hands. So, like, especially in trading, if all of your stress and your cortisol spikes come from using your mind and, you know, sitting down doing nothing, then you've got to be able to utilize your hands to work through stuff. You know, woodworking. That's what woodworking is therapeutic for me. Building stuff is therapeutic for me. Being physical in the gym and working out, that's very therapeutic for me. That's why, like, people are like, oh, I have to go to the gym. Me, I want to go to the gym because that's therapeutic. So, playing hockey. So it's I want to do something that's, you know, along those lines. Liquidity down back on 525. So they came on, they took it off, and they would put it back on 525. So, been eating good, 100%. I know you like Alice in Chains, so you like Circle of Sanity. I'll take a look. Yeah, are you on Spotify? $5.88. Man, this is terrible. Maybe a day to sign off and wait for next week or the end of the week. I know non-from would be fun. $5.87. Liquidity is still down to 530. I may consider another position here if this breaks. It does look heavy. Everything looks heavy, except for S&P related items. You're seeing a lot of pushing and pulling, mixed bags here. If one of your business plans is managing a construction crew of mini excavators and such, I know a mini person that'll fit all the equipment. Nice. Yeah, that is one of the things I'm considering because there's a huge demand for construction or equipment rentals, and I've got a lot of extra land I could park them and stuff. So I'm considering getting a couple of mini X's and skid steers and like doing rentals out or something like that as a passive income that's virtually hands off. So I don't know. I've got a lot of things I'm considering. I want it to be passive income though. Feels like a weak pop coming. Get retail on the short side and stop if you want to move. A couple extra milli. Yeah. Well, mini X's aren't that expensive. You know, used skid steers aren't that expensive. But it would all be, you know, it would all be budgeted out and figured out what my potential revenue would be, and if that would balance out and pay for the bills and whatnot. We had, in fact, you know, yesterday we had 20 yards of compost delivered to the farm because we're preparing our garden for the spring. And the kid that delivered it was a 19-year-old kid. He pulled up in a brand new 2500 truck with a hydraulic gooseneck trailer that's paid for. And he's 19 years old. And I'm like, man, this kid's 19 years old and he paid for his truck and a dump trailer simply just doing deliveries. That's it. You know, he'll anything that can be loaded in his trailer, he'll haul. He pays a delivery fee. Sometimes it's hay, sometimes it's compost, sometimes it's equipment, and he paid for his truck. He's 19 years old. He says he's been doing it since he was 16. And I'm like, dude, that is how the American dream is met right there. Anyway, 590 here. Not moving. They're taking off 525 again. Looking at the hero indicator, we have a little bit more call buying starting to hit the tape, but it's heavily skewed to put buying at the moment. But they are starting to hit the calls. That's what the country lacks these days, is kids like that. Yep. Is he an ES ahead of those for PLCs above us? They're trickling up there. Yeah, 58.80 here. Finally making a move a little bit up. 6-7 points. Did I miss daylight savings time? Not yet. I think it's another couple of weeks. Next week? Oh, gee, that's terrible. Great. Now it's going to get dark at like 3:15. On SPY, would that be a 3-minute candle reversal on the 5-minute? Let's take a look. Yeah, it would, because we have the down candle, the next hammer candle, and then the follow-on. But the problem is that second, the hot bottom wick candle didn't really go very far, so it's more sideways action than this little move back up here. 58.78 here, but other than that, man, it's been slow. I'm curious how well the person that inspired the kid is doing. Probably pretty well. What's this move it? This little green up. I'm looking around. I don't see any extravagant movement. The Dow's about to put it a high in. The Russell's still trickling higher. XLF is about to put a high in. VIX isn't moving here. Just shaking and baking back and forth. Nothing crazy. All right. $600 here, still climbing up here. This will be for sure the lowest volume of the year when it already doesn't move the first hour. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, so far on the 15-minute, it is ridiculously low volume. Some of the lowest volume we've had at the open in a while. That's okay, though. That's okay. Trickling back up, 608. Never short a dull market, of course. No additional trade for me. $605. Top wick back over. It is got a little ascending wedge look to it on the 5-minute. Still kind of rolling over here. Unable to get anywhere. No volume. So, great day to hands off. So far, at least. So far. Man, my chest is killing me. Another red candle on NASDAQ, on ES, rolling all the way back over. Retesting the 582. What time is it? It is 10:33. I'm sitting here in Spain thinking this is a nice start. Oh, I'm streaming 15 minutes early. Yep, good old time change. Nvidia's not moving. Trace indicator, we've got short delta at 58.50 to 58.60. We have still put buying and then call selling. Overwhelmingly shifted into the put buying territory. I may bounce. Not a fan of this slow price action right now. Overnight's better. Yeah. Well, remember it's coming. Again, we got big volatility. Big volatility. After mute, I'll be back in about 2 seconds. Here comes a red. Let's go. Yeah, so we have 2 billion right now in negative delta here, so it's definitely put heavy by a large margin. I do think eventually that'll have its effect. You just have to be patient. So, oh man, anybody tracking any good Black Friday sales? I know we asked that yesterday or last week, but that is a beautiful weapon. Golly. Diego met on 2 trades. First was loss, second was a win. Nice D. Damien, well done. Waiting for no Black. Yeah, I think we are going to do a Black Friday sale. I got to get this website stuff figured out though. This WordPress is killing me because I have to be able to offer coupon codes and I have to make sure this thing works. But yeah, we're going to do a Black Friday sale. I have the details finalized. I just have to confirm everything is going to work. And we'll go from there. $5.92. Let's see. Yeah, nothing's moving. XLF is creeping down gently, but nothing's really breaking out or selling off or nothing. Let me go look at the other mega caps. What's Amazon doing? They're flat. We may get a lot of this until the big dogs start to shift. Non-farm payroll Friday. Oh man. $58, $5.96. Now the bottom we pick up. So 15-minute again. That's where I'm hanging out. We've got a lot of bottom books starting to form, especially after this one. They just dropped that thing from 610 to 560, so a 50-point drop in immediate bottom wick. They are stacking back up to 643, but it's not the best day to trade. I would encourage you to pump the brakes a little bit on any kind of trades and just wait. Just wait. In fact, let's go through the mega cap earnings. Let's see. Apple, we have Thursday night after the market. Microsoft, we have Wednesday after the market. Amazon, Thursday after the market. Meta, Wednesday after the market. Google is tomorrow after the market. So Google is tomorrow. Everything else is Wednesday and Thursday. So we have a lot going on beginning tomorrow after the market closes, not to mention, of course, all the data. So why waste your time on this type of stuff here when we have a lot more volatility coming? A lot more shaking into bacon. Anyone taking any swing plays for mega caps? For the big dogs? Tesla's long. Nice. How about NYSE opening 22 hours a day? I think that's a terrible idea. And all they need is more liquidity. Eventually, they'll get to the point where everything is open 24/7. With technology, you'll be able to trade anything at any point, at any time of the day, even weekends. That's the next thing, is attacking weekends. And then you'll have dopamine hit 24/7, baby. Futures already 23.5. Yeah, they are. Yeah. Doesn't the designated times help the market makers hide their actions? Yeah. It all depends on the reporting. It's much easier to move the market when everyone sleeps. Jersey Shore will go from gym tanning laundry to gym tanning trading. Probably already there. Looks like the Yanks aren't going to be able to pull this one out, huh? They better get on it. Robinhood's offering contracts on Trump. Nice. I know IBKR is doing it as well. You could bet on the outcome of the election. It's crazy. Will our AI accounts try to outtrade each other? They will. What happens when AI becomes liquidity? Oh, man. Nothing about this says a good trading, so that's what I recommend. Get out, at least for now. Closing Iron Condor for 63%. Beautiful, Mojo. Awesome stuff. I don't see any real signs of movement here. $58.78 back up, 613 going. See if we can break that little trend line. I'm sure y'all are tracking at about 622, 625 or so. We take that out. You may be able to get back up to the overnight high. Pretty slow stuff, though. Not worth trading. Yeah, VIX is lame too. Yeah, small caps are picking up the heavy load today. $5.92, another rejection. This is terrible. Still got 30, 40 minutes of this, too. Might have to call it early. This is awful. Ain't nothing. What's Bookmap telling us? 658. Apple is about to put it on the high end, so they're starting to shift higher. XLE has recovered about 1% of the losses. Small caps are still going. RTY. You can play a little RTY. Let me flip over to RTY. RTY held overnight high at 2228 and rocket shipped. Their next target of 2260. After that, it's off to the races. Wait for the big red candles and longer type of action. Have a good trade. Yeah, definitely. Any news on China? Nothing new. Yeah, that's coming though. That'll be once all the 2024 crap wears off. That'll be the next ticket. Also, depending on who wins the election. If Kamala wins out, and if I was in Taiwan and Kamala wins, I would be chalking deuces quickly. Quickly. It's $2 billion. What is that? $2 billion sale. So here's some new stuff. I just Googled to see if there's any new uptakings that here. A couple of reputable sources. Pentagon approved $2 billion arms sale to Taiwan, including advanced air defense missile systems, which we already knew that was coming. I have to be careful what I talk about with that stuff. Gun shop owner told me they have to close. They have to close, or they want to close. Surely there's no legal grounds to get them to close. I mean, who am I to say? Who am I? This is. How does Amazon do with tariffs on imports? Well, they're going to take a beating. Most of their crap comes from China. You know, Amazon is actually, their quality has greatly reduced. You know, Amazon went from a fantastic distribution facility, and now all they're doing is pretty much peddling a lot of overseas stuff that's not really that great, or Temu knockoff type stuff. So, yeah, I'm sure they'll take a hit. Walmart will take a beating if we start imposing a lot of tariffs, but we'll see if what happens. You know, Bezos is now supporting the Republican side. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, if you start talking about tariffs, you know, the crap starts to get cut pretty quick. It all comes down to money, man. It all comes down to money. You start yapping about real money, stuff starts making changes. Apple probably as well. Yeah. Target. Yeah. A lot of stuff. Which I've got I could see both sides of the argument. Try to strictly economical. People say, all right, well, people who are against the tariffs, if you do tariffs, then the cost of products are going to skyrocket. Which I see that argument, but it's only a short-term measure. Implying keeping tariffs on long-term is not. I don't think the option. I think it's short-term gig, but I think we could all agree that we have. China has a very very large stronghold on our on our on our economy. What would happen right now if China decided to stop doing business with us? They said, you know what, we're just not going to give you everything. What would happen to our economy right now? So we need to, I think it's in our best interest to start to become a little bit more independent. I think that's the goal. A good blending of the two is probably the best area. So yeah, sanctions are worse, definitely. No Fed law on gun shops closing on election day. Some states and local laws do. Interesting. What's a good option to get into? Right now, nothing. Nothing. Long-term TLT calls are probably one of your better ideas, and I mean like 12 to 24 months out. Probably of a strike of about 110 would probably be a great one. If I had to bet, I would say the bond market's finally going to start to pick a direction here after the election's over. There's too much uncertainty right now. The bonds will respond regardless of who wins. It's just they need the uncertainty to be gone, and then a couple of weeks after, probably they'll start the directional move. Oh man, this is terrible. Absolutely terrible. Never heard the expression. What does chalk and deuces mean? I knew what you meant. I just don't know the expression. Like throw up peace signs. I'm out. Peace. See ya. So chalk it up deuces. I don't know. I don't know where that came from. We used to say that when we were younger. No one else says that. Am I the only one who's ever used that expression? Maybe I could start a trend. Throw it up there with Riz. Is this another one of those drop days with 2 billion in puts? It's very possible, but this has become a common theme for this environment. The past 2 weeks we've been seeing that. You're welcome, JD. Yeah, we're still seeing a lot of put buying here on the hero, and we've been seeing that the past couple of days. I remember it from Houston Rap. There you go. Right back to 580. Dropping back over. Again. Put buying still very strong. Can we actually make a move? Nvidia's not moving. Nothing's moving. We are in an ascending channel type of deal, which is right about the bottom of it now. Who takes the other side of 2 billion in puts? The other side of the tape. But what we're seeing here is that the hero indicator is representative of deltas, of negative deltas. So the massive amount of deltas being down here is indicative of just an egregious amount of put buying, institutional put buying. So obviously the other side of that tape is going to be the selling of the puts, but usually there's some sort of a spread. We don't know who's buying them. Obviously the market makers are providing the market of the short side of the trade. Not enough jabronis, yeah. Bottom wick. Oh, man. Top of the hour, 1 minute. Top of the hour. It's crazy how all this... We're literally posturing for China, and we're not talking about it anymore because of what's going on in the news. There's not enough news in the legacy media to talk about China and Taiwan, but it's coming. It is coming. I hear the train a-comin', rolling round the bend. $5.76. Lieutenant Dan's going to come out and go find her on his boat. Nancy Pelosi. More red, 562. $5.53. We need some more red peppers down. Yeah. It's starting to slide a little bit. Nvidia's not moving. VIX is heading higher. Might be a little bit of a pullback here. Whole bunch of puts being bought. Brain numbing. See you, manana. See you, Jasper. I'm about to join you, buddy. Wouldn't mind finding her in the 70s. Was Nancy Pelosi hot when she was young? I've actually never seen a young picture of Nancy Pelosi. Linda all day. Love it. Oh, man. $5.40. Now breaking down 5.28, which will get us 5.28. May get us the gap fill if they can get it, but no such luck yet. Is the young Robert still in here? He is. He's just now I got to look it up. He's here. He's just in college right now, so he's busy. El Roberto. He's a busy young man. I wouldn't have time to trade when I was in college. Yeah, he's great. Future of our youth, baby. I love it. Gap fill of 475. Most likely, yeah. If they take out 525, that'll be the next target. Oh, look at old Pelosi. Who would have known she'd be the greatest trader of our generation? 535 still dropping. Here comes 525, starting to become a little heavy. We have a lot of put buying here. It's been showing it all day. Now 2.4 billion in puts being purchased, increasing. Same thing we saw last week. Cameras weren't around yet. She's always been old. I love it. Bottom wick. Hmm. 94% probability. Caught 25 points. Nice, Parker. Yeah, I'd call it if you caught that. How you doing? Y'all crazy. All right, we're up 11:05 here, so I'm going to start wrapping things up. I'm not doing any trading. This is terrible. One trade today for me, a short there at the open. Haven't touched it. This is terrible. A guy on Reddit said he was going to ratio me. What is ratioed? Anyone tell me what that is? Should I be scared of it? Get more likes or upvotes on their post than yours. That's what that means? Oh, I'm so scared. I'm shaking in my little boots. There's ratio in the room with you right now. Back in my day, we just threatened physical violence. Now they ratio me. You're gonna get more likes, dude. I'm gonna get more likes than you. Oh. How about we just punch each other until we're cool? I was trying to explain this to my kids. Like I remember on the football team when we had beef, you'd eat a pork chop. No, I'm just kidding. When you have beef with someone, like we had our Friday night after the game, we'd have our field parties, big old bonfire. We get around, and all the dudes that had beef, we'd beat it out of each other. And I don't mean the Tim Waltz way. I mean like we would just get in fights and beat each other up, and then you know what happened 10 minutes later? We were hugging and shaking hands and what's up, bro? Like that's how dudes get that out of their system. Now it's I'm gonna ratio you. It's terrible. It's terrible. I did play football. Yeah, I played football for 7 years. Played baseball my entire life. Football for 7 years. I was actually on the bowling team too. I have trophies in bowling. I was that guy. And because of the girl I dated at the time, I was also the lead in the play. She was a drama queen. She was a drama girl, so I joined the drama club to get with her, and it worked, by the way. But they also put me as the lead in the play. That backfired on me aggressively. Can't stop laughing. It's crazy how different it is. It is crazy. But haven't you mentioned your kids aren't allowed to play football? No, they're allowed to play. I'd prefer them to play other sports. But like my oldest right now, he's in ninth grade. He's on the football team. I don't let them play until they start the seventh grade year, though. I don't let them play pee wee football, all that crap, because one, it's a waste of time anyway. I'd rather them build hand-eye coordination like baseball, because football at a young age is pointless. You just run around and bash into each other. So I don't let them play football until they're at least in seventh grade. Until then, it's all baseball, soccer, whatever else they want to play. I'm trying to build skills, skill sets and hand-eye coordination. Playing hockey from a young age here in Montreal, where most of the population is French. There were only 2 English-speaking kids in the room. Trust me, being racist and normal. Oh yeah. Market's doing much. Tell us what happened with the lead role. Oh yeah, yeah. It went pretty well. I have a DVD of it somewhere. It was a play called Cactus Pass. It was a western. That was fun. Still coming on down again. 5-2-5 will lead to the gap fill. I'm gonna get ratioed. When someone gets ratioed in the comments, they say XYZ is bad, and then hundreds of people say no idiot XYZ is good. Ah. Cameras weren't around yet. Yeah. I actually think it's a win when most of the people on the internet disagree with me on a comment. Someone hack OMs and get the bootleg. Yeah, it ain't on the computer. It's in a hard DVD somewhere. Try tennis. Yeah, tennis would be awesome. Yep. Table tennis. Hey, table tennis is fun too. 5-5-3. Wrong number. Oh, man. Hmm. Pretty terrible. Pretty terrible. Have you ever tried archery? My son actually was on an archery team for many years. He won a bunch of competitions. He's since grown out of it. But through that, I mean, I've always hunted with a bow, but in competitive archery, stuff like that, the closest I got is my father-in-law had a, like, he got into it and he had this longbow. And he bought one of those and did it, but his shoulder hurt, so he couldn't do it anymore. So he let me have it, and I shot with a longbow for a while, just kind of training with my son and competing with, like, doing some friendly competition with him. But it was fun. I like it. I like it. It's pretty cool being able to shoot without sights and just going off of intuition and feel. Did you ever try lacrosse? I played lacrosse in college. Yeah, I played 1 season of lacrosse in college, and then that's when I found. The same time I started playing lacrosse is when I found um, Super Draw, and I went from like 180 pounds to 230 pounds, and I didn't want to play lacrosse anymore. I wanted to lift as much weight as I possibly could, so I didn't play anymore. Super Draw, baby. How do I get rid of scalper's mentality? I caught a great entry on that short for only 10 points, but I ran for 50. Stay off lower time frame charts. So stay on the 15-minute at the least, or at the most, I should say. Don't go any lower than the 15-minute chart. And then, of course, use trailing stops. That's the best way to do it. If you sit on the 5-minute and 3-minute chart and only that, you're going to do nothing but scalp. It's hard to see. It's hard to see any trend develop on the 5-minute or the 1-minute or the 3-minute. So go to the 15, spend a lot of time on the daily and getting the daily theme, and be able to put on a trade, and then, of course, manage your stops. But all that to say is that really it comes down to trade management. If you're someone who puts on a position and then the absolute moment you see profit, you're already moving your stop into at least break even, you're never going to catch a trend. You're always going to get stopped out for 5 or 10 points, and then you're going to jump up and down and pat yourself on the back for winning 10 points and thinking like you're the greatest trader in the world when, especially on NASDAQ, 10 points is nothing. 10 points is like bending down to pick up a penny. It moves so aggressively. So put on a trade on the 15-minute at least, if not longer. Zoom out. You have to be able to willing to accept a loss by keeping your trailing stop in the loss territory. And then when the move finally starts to be made your way and you have a nice little cushion built in, then you can start moving your stop into break even, into profit territory. And if you do that repetitively, you'll be able to eventually catch a 200 to 300 point move. And trust me, it's worth it. When you catch a 200 or 300 point move on NASDAQ, even with proper position sizing, you can make a killing if you only do it 2 or 3 times a quarter. So, but that's it. Today you don't get much more than 10 points. My Lotto account port is up 82%. This might be something happening. I don't know. There you go. Any opinion on TLT call 115 strike for January 26? I think that's great. I think a 115 strike for January 26 is very conservative, and it's a great play. The put, meh. That one may do well. I would only take the put side, Kennedy, if you know how to short puts. Basically, calendar spread the thing until you get what you want. I would not take that unless you're doing short puts against it when you need to. How far approximately do you keep the stops? And same money, yes. When I'm playing NASDAQ, I keep my stop approximately 20 to 30 points away from the market, but it really depends on the structure. If I have a very large macro level between myself and my stop, then I'm going to be more likely to leave it a little bit tighter because I have natural defense in the market. But you have to be aware of the liquidity sweeps. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, months ago, that if you want to get a better entry, then don't place your limit entry where you want to get in. Place it where you're going to set your stop loss on where you're going to get out on that trade. And you'll be surprised how often you get filled. You'll get a better entry, and then you'll be able to put your stop losses beyond the liquidity and have a safer position. 2 things will happen with that. 1, you'll clean up your entries and you'll get far superior entries. And 2, it'll reduce the number of trades you actually take because you're not going to get filled all the time. You'll probably get filled less than half the time that you are now, which is a good thing. Trading less is a good thing for the average trader. I promise you, most traders aren't doing as well as they post on Twitter or in Discord. They're just not showing the bad part of things, and that's because that's the normal for the retail environment. There's a reason why Warren Buffett put out a huge reward to be able to beat the S&P over 10 years, and no one comes to claim the prize because it's nearly impossible to do. And it requires exceptional talent. So the best thing you can do as a retail trader is to trade less. Trading more is not going to help you. Trading less will help you. High quality setups, because the less you trade on the higher time frames, the more obvious the market becomes. Back from the hospital and wanted to pop in for a bit. I'm not opening my top step. However, all of my short puts today close for 75% profit, putting my account up 5.8% on the month. Beautiful. Absolutely amazing. First time in several months. I want to keep it that way. Do it. I was planning on doing short puts against it, but that would be only the second time I've done that. It's worked a little stressful because it became new. No, it's new is great. That's why I always recommend paper trading. The only time I ever recommend paper trading is when you're learning a new broker, strictly because of the technical side of things of learning how to do the broker. And 2, when you're shorting options. Shorting options, you need to understand what happens when you're wrong. Other than that, after that, you start out with small position sizing, of course. Thanks to OM and calling. I love it. I could probably beat the S&P with a $1,000 account resetting every year. Problem is impossible with a high dollar amount. Well, it's you have to beat the S&P over 10 years. That's the caveat there. And I've beat the S&P over on a 1-year time frame before, but the only time I've ever beat on the 10-year is due actually buying the S&P. I mean, which is not, you're not beating the S&P because you're actually buying the S&P in long-term ports, but but long-term trading. Yeah, it's difficult. It's very difficult. Long-term trading is where it's at. You're very welcome, JD Chance. You're welcome. Yeah, glad to see everything's good. Glad to see everything's good, McGurky. I assume last cancer treatment means he's in remission. If that's the case, fantastic. Yeah, rung the bell. That's good. Yeah, so awesome. It's fantastic, man. It's a miracle. Cancer is terrible. The trades are the same. Beating the S&P, the S&P, SPY, the dollar's amount scares you. Yep. What do I think about butterflies? It's amazing, man. It's amazing that a caterpillar can create a chrysalis and turn into this big bright butterfly. The fact that butterflies can actually travel down to Mexico from the northern United States. I didn't think a little bitty flappy butterfly could travel thousands of miles like that, but man, it's crazy. My kids know a lot about butterflies. They do this whole monarch in the park thing every year. It's weird. Anyway, in all seriousness, I think they're great. I think they're great. If you have the ability to play those type of positions, it's a fantastic way to make passive income. Yeah, it's obviously not as aggressive as playing something like just typical long option. Nothing is, but absolutely, if you'd like to play a little bit more robust type of positions, which is not even that complicated, it's a fantastic way. Yeah, you have to know when to play them, just like anything else. I thought you were being serious. No. I am impressed that a butterfly can travel thousands of miles, though. In all seriousness, it's crazy. If I had little bitty tiny wings like that, I'd be exhausted. That's good advice about using the 15-minute chart. Definitely, Curtis. Definitely. They fly. They fly like they're drunk too. Yeah, they do. Yep, they're iron condors and iron butterflies. Yep. Oh man. Rest of day prediction. Me not being at the computer. This is terrible. We have a busy week this week and next week, so this is awful. I play super aggressive positions because I'm okay with assignment. Yep. I just was surprised what happened to the prices again today. I bought some nose spray for £10, and it was 2 to 3 some years ago. Yeah, it's everything. So it's not immune to just United States. It's everywhere. It's awful. I went to buy 2 ribeyes last week. 2 of them. They were like $45. Yeah, euros. My apologies. I was like, you are out of your dang mind. Like, I'm literally gonna start eating my neighbor's cows, even though there's not much meat on them. Y'all remember the cow debacle of 2024, spring of 2024? It's ridiculous. And we're talking about Venezuelan meat that's shipped in. It's not even domestic. The cows, old ladies' cows, yeah. Ridiculous. Did those puts roll off after the drop? Let me take a look. $45 for ribeyes. That is a negative Ghost Rider. 1.9 billion. So they closed a couple of them, but it's still very overwhelmingly in favor of puts. That's information Kamala told me inflation's under control and it's all about because of her efforts on the Inflation Reduction Act that borrowed $300 billion from the Fed and printed new money. That is investor information. I'm just scalping silver and gold future for now. There you go. What's next week? Oh, baby. Next week is the Super Bowl of traders. It is the Super Bowl, the World Series, the World Cup, the Olympics, all rolled into one. Actually, the Olympics is terrible after this past debacle. The Olympics is a child play. So yeah. And we'll see if it is the Olympics and J-Pow comes out on the stage. We'll see if he's going to be like Usain Bolt, amazing sprinter, or is he going to be an Australian breakdancer? What quality FOMC is he going to give us? Chuck is almost as good as ribeye and about twice as less. I do like some chuck, yeah. Yep. I did, McGurky, yeah. I did. Well, I listened to the whole thing. Thought it was great. Fantastic. Get to know a local high school FFA and buy a whole cow from them with a friend. Processing a year's worth of meat for $1,000. Absolutely. Fantastic idea. Didn't Kramer mention Palantir? He did. He also said there's no need to fret over the rocketing yields, the treasury yields. So he said a lot of things. Craving thick cut ribeye now. You guys are killing me. I love it. I love it. Yeah, next week, Vor, is we have the election on November 5th, which, if I had to guess, we will not know the results of it for at least a day or two, at least. And then, of course, we have FOMC, I believe, on the 7th. So, and FOMC is going to be crazy. Crazy. 15-minute time frame to catch better quality trade than 5-minute for your entries for time frame rated. I mean, if you want to scalp, the 5-minute is perfectly acceptable. But you have to adjust your management the lower you go. The lower time frame you utilize, the tighter risk management you have to trade. The higher the time frame, the higher risk management. So if I place a trade strictly from 1-day chart analysis, then I'm willing to put on a stop loss on NASDAQ that's like 100, 150 points. But on a scalp, absolutely not. And it's because of you're zoomed in. If you're zoomed in through a soda straw only looking at a couple of candles on the 5-minute, then you can't, in good faith, put on a wide stop because you're only dealing with data that's only a few candles back. But if you're dealing with data on a long-term port on the daily chart, then you can let the NASDAQ breathe 150 points, if not more. Really, it's the 7th, yeah. So it all depends. 5 minutes, great, but you got to adjust it. Man, this is terrible. Good gosh. What is going on? Has anyone ever eaten moose? I want to go moose hunting. So good, you need to try it. I'd love to try it. Position sizing too. You can't let 100 points go on 4 Nasdaq. Well, it depends on your account size. You know, if I'm putting down 3 Nasdaqs on my account for the purposes of holding for weeks, then I'll let it go 100 points. I'll let it go more than that. Of course, I'm doing other stuff to offset the losses. That's the benefit of trading on long-term stuff with long-term analysis. But On a 5-minute chart, absolutely not. I would never let 4 Nasdaqs go 100 points because it's just 5 minutes. But for long term, absolutely. I mean, that's you have to do that stuff because on the daily chart, there's going to be 150 point oscillations in price. That's the difference in scalping and long-term investing. In long-term investing, you're dealing with big boy dollars, and scalping, you're dealing with peanuts. Did you read about the guy on Wall Street who's shorting Treasury bonds with 20% of his port? I did not. I did not. I'll have to take a look at that though. Got about a minute here, and I'm going to call it a day. Vic says we're going down. It does. So does the put buying. XLF is keeping the S&P. Well, actually, most of the X's are keeping the S&P afloat, whereas tech continues to kind of trickle. But overall, it's not a great day to trade. This is just terrible. So. This is what I'm putting out. This is what I'm putting out for Halloween instead of candy. Nice warm pho for a nice cool Halloween. All of my windows just crashed. Yeah. 58.68. So again, still 525 gives away to the gap fill. We've been now here. I mean, the market hasn't moved since the open, so it's terrible. But 525 gives gap fill. Maybe we'll get it now. That Europe. Actually, Europe is not closed, right? Another hour. I almost did it. Vic's high of the day. Why do I want to stir that with my feet? Oh my gosh. All right, well, here we go. Here's another test. This will be the third test of 525. And what do you see on the charts now? A decreasing triangle. What is a decreasing triangle? Went from community water hole to the community pho bucket. Now, who can tell me? Who can tell me? We talked about it yesterday on the Tier 2 channel. It's also in Chapter 11 of the VPA book if you have the book. Talk to me, Goose. Talk to me. We went, there you go, 25.45. 25 million downloads on the podcast. Jeez. All right, y'all. I'm calling it a day. Last questions, final concerns, comments. A decreasing triangle is a bearish indication, showing that absorption of demand. So right now we have demand, obviously at 525. It's the bottom open of that gap up candle of that price. So 525 is going to be the absorption of demand. We take out 525, it's going to shift lower into 475, which is the open. So it's absorption as long as you have no high volume. If you have a high volume spike at 525, that'll show that demand is going to bounce back up. But with no volume and it remains low, that we're going to absorb 525 and shift lower to 475. It's a descending triangle, not a descending wedge. That's different. Descending wedges are bearish, or bullish. I'm sorry, descending wedges are bullish. Descending triangles is bearish. But it's not about the pattern of the triangle or the shape. It's about what's happening to cause that pattern. That's the more important thing. The volume and price action. Why is the gap fill not around 24.80? Friday's closed before the gap up on Sundays. Yeah, that's what it is. You know, the gap fills at 475 right now. So first we have to do the 525 imbalance where the market open, all that liquidity hit, and then after that it'll be 475. But it looks like we're pretty imminent to breach 525. It's about how you use it. That's right, Twizzy. That's right. Appreciate it, Vampire. Yeah, buddy. Gym time? Love it. I'm going to do 20 minutes on the assault bike and then head out to the construction site to finish working. W-E-R-K. Working. All right, y'all. I'm calling it a day. Favorite sandwich? It depends. Do you consider Do you consider a hamburger a sandwich? If you consider a hamburger sandwich, then it's easily a hamburger. Hamburger is one of my favorite meals. A properly cooked, homemade hamburger where you take some chuck, you grind it up like a cut. You don't buy ground beef from the store because ground beef from the store and homemade ground meat is completely different. So go get you chuck roast. That's got a good fat mixture in it. You grind it twice in your grinder. Fine ground twice. Very light seasoning, salt and pepper. That's it. Don't make it a meatloaf. I don't want a mini meatloaf on a piece of bread. I want a hamburger. So good quality meat. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, proper sear, caramelization of the meat, maybe a little bacon grease, bacon up. If you don't know what bacon up is, go Google bacon up. Fantastic. Good cut of cheese. You layer the lettuce on the bottom, a little bit of mayonnaise. Good stuff, man. If not that, then little prosciutto, a little bit of bacon. What's that number 8? Number 8 is pretty close to a store-bought homemade sandwich that you can make. It's great. I'm actually not a big fan of mortadella. Like I know a lot of people love that stuff, but I like it. It's great, but it's not my favorite. I went with 3,000 feet of Romex. That's actually exactly how much I've used. 3,000 feet. No swearing, little talk tofu. Yeah. Look at Google real quick. Let's go take a look. Google. Google's getting dumped. Baconator. Oh, yeah. So. All right, y'all. I'm out of here. I recommend y'all do the same thing. We have a whole bunch of volatility coming along here, so appreciate y'all hanging out. Sorry we didn't have very much fun today, but we have a lot of fun coming in the future, a couple of days. So let's give it time. Let me know if you have any questions. Other than that, I will see y'all in the morning. I'm out. See you.